not do this on time? You know what I mean? Why not be on time for once?
Yeah.
I think we're actually a little late. Yeah. Oh, we're only 3 minutes late. Got everything we need? I think so.
People, somebody to light candles.
We got
Matches
that. Yes.
are here.
Yes, we got that.
Matches are
All right, y'all, we're gonna get started. Shabbat Shalom. Please take your seats. We got more people coming. Awesome. You know, I'm waiting for the clicker to come in before I go deep back in. It's too hard without one before I go deep back into presentation. So, anyways, but yes, I will one day soon. I want more comfortable with that screen. So there we go. Hey, Brighton, Shabbat Shalom. All right, here we go. So we're gonna need our candle lighter to come up here, and that is Zeke and family, I imagine. Oh, she's coming, huh? Okay, not really hearing. That should be better. Yes.
about doing the Vayatulu before doing the Kiddush in the back.
Oh,
Is that a problem or?
I don't know. Here, let's do it a little later.
Yeah.
Let's be fast now. I want to think about that.
I figured you.
Here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu adlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. And the Zeke and family up here is that this is their last day in Alaska. They're moving to St. Louis tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, so sad.
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis. So I'm sure it is. All right, so you can all make them feel guilty leaving and owning it later today. Okay, that would be great. Really, just twist that knife. You know what I mean? Okay, all right, moving on. Hine Matov on 128. And you may notice we have this handsome fellow next to me. We got Ross joining us. He's going to be our cantora soloist tonight. So thank you, Ross, for being here.
welcome. Next week too.
Next week too.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay.
שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Now we move over to Lachado D on page 138 of your prayer books.
As we do your favorite melody.
And we're going to thanks, yes. I famously don't like the melody Ross is about to do, but that's fine. And
It's a traditional Shabbat, it's a traditional melody.
and then tonight we're going to recite paragraphs 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we arrive on paragraph 9, I invite you all to stand up to greet the Shabbat bride.
איש מיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו תפארת ולתהילה, לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא לקראת שבת לכוון אלך, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא. מועיל שלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקרא.
You may be seated. And we now move to Shalom Aleichem, which you can find on page 142 of the prayer books.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malachim Shalom, Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bachuni l'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedkem l'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We now move to 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadash v'yikadash Shemei Rabba, V'yamad Yivrach Chirutei v'yamrich malchutei b'chayechon yom echon u'chaye kol beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala Ulizman Kari V'yimeru Amen Yehi Shemei Raham Evorach Le'olam Le'olam Le'elmaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishabach V'yitbar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Kedushav B'richu Leila Min Kol Birchatam V'shiratam Tush B'chatam V'nechemata Damiran Be'olam V'yimeru Amen.
Turn to page 146, and when you arrive there, I invite you to stand for the Barchel.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Amorach. Baruch Adonai Amorach ve'olam va'ed.
You may be seated.
Same
What are we doing here?
Same thing as last time. I'll pick up here and go and so you're not gonna go.
Okay, so we're going to read the English together, and then Ross is going to sing the Chatima at the bottom. Sorry, thanks. 148, bottom 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates and thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב והרבים.
We now move to 150, to the Shema on 152.
Okay.
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzvacha hayom al levavecha v'shinamtam levanecha v'dibarta b'am v'shitecha b'beitecha u'leptecha b'derech u'shaptecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam le'or al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
And now we move to page 160 for the Hashkivenu. Okay, so we're going to read the bottom part in English, but not the Chatima, the Hebrew part, because Ross is going to pick up on that. So here we go. English, bottom 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise up a guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. God, our goings and comings to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Now we move to the Amidah on page 164. When you arrive there, I invite you to stand with us.
Adonai Shabbat Tiftach Ufi Abitei Latecha. Adonai Shabbat Tiftach Ufi Abitei Latecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu V'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imaot U'Mevi Goel Ibnei B'neihem L'man Shemo V'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai M'chayei HaKol Atah Rav Le'Hoshia Ma'aziz Ma'ruach U'Morid HaKefen M'chalkel Chaim B'Chesed M'chayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim Tzomech Noflim V'Nofei Cholim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar Michavo Chalav L'Urot U'Midom Melav Melech Memid U'Mechayeh U'Matzmiad Yeshua V'Ne'eman Atalach Hayod Amo Baruch atah Adonai M'chayei HaKol.
We'll now continue silently until page 180. You may be seated whenever you like.
Ose shalom imrama, Uyase shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, amen. Ose shalom imrama, Uyase shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael.
Okay, now some words of Torah. Yeah, thanks. Wow, felt really good when you say yeah like that. Okay, so in last week's Torah portion, the Israelites complete their first infrastructure project, the Mishkan, the sacred tent that will be the place in which Moses convenes with Adonai. Upon its completion, both Moses and Aaron prepare to enter their sacred building. They wash their feet and their hands, adorn their special clothing, and walk into the fruits of the Israelites' labor. And they are not alone, because shortly afterwards, a cloud comes to hover over the Mishkan and enters into the sacred tent. It is a cloud during the day and a flame at night, so all Israelites can see that Adonai rests in this tent. And this becomes the routine in which Moses speaks with Adonai. And thus ends the book of Exodus and begins the book of Leviticus. The end of Exodus sets up the Mishkan, and the book of Leviticus is where Adonai talks to Moses in the Mishkan. And the book of Leviticus occurs over a 7-week period, which culminates in the Israelites striking their camp and beginning their long sojourn in Numbers 10. Our Torah is clear that since God looks like a cloud or a flame, Moses is not talking to a God anthropomorphized as a person. Nevertheless, Adonai is speaking to Moses. Earlier in Exodus, Adonai actually explains the process of speaking and says this: "There I will meet with you, and I will impart to you from above the cover of the ark, from between the 2 cherubim that are on top of the ark of the covenant, all that I will command you concerning the Israelite people." So it seemed that Moses stands near the Ark of the Covenant and literally hears Adonai from between the two outstretched wings of the angels adorned on top of it. And us modern folk can easily say, perhaps Moses is neurodivergent and is hallucinating Adonai's voice, which, by the way, for ancient Israelites would not discredit Moses from actually hearing Adonai. It would seem that many respectable prophets tuned into Adonai in this way. However, Adonai anticipated this problem because earlier in Exodus, it states, and Adonai said to Moses, I will come to you in a thick cloud in order that the people may hear when I speak with you, and so trust you ever after. God is establishing that Moses is not magically hearing things in front of the Israelites. So Moses is hearing an actual voice. In fact, in Numbers, God says to Moses, hear my words. When prophets of Adonai arise among you, I make myself known to them in a vision. I speak with them in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He is trusted throughout my household. With him, I speak mouth to mouth, plainly and not in riddles. And he beholds the likeness of Adonai. Adonai literally says mouth to mouth. And quite suddenly, we have an anthropomorphized version of Adonai. God's words come from a mouth. Furthermore, Moses is beholding the likeness of Adonai, which means Moses is seeing something. From all of this, from everything I just said, I can't help but wonder, what does Adonai's voice sound like? What exactly is Moses hearing? In the movie Prince of Egypt, one of my favorites, there's that incredible scene where Moses experiences the burning bush and hears God speaking. Now, in the movie, Moses is voiced by the actor Val Kilmer, who, in a very ironic twist of fate, cannot speak anymore due to throat cancer. Anyways, the producers of the movie also have Val Kilmer say God's speaking parts. They do this on purpose so that Moses experiences Adonai in Moses' own voice. Essentially, Moses hears an aspect of himself when he hears Adonai. And this makes sense to me. After all, Adonai made humanity in Adonai's own image. Thus, our own voice is an aspect of Adonai's voice. But if I heard Adonai in my own voice, I would hear God stutter. I am neurodivergent, and I live with a passenger in my mind that can make it super hard for me to get words out. I don't stutter that much anymore because I learned how to live with my passenger, but I'm not cured. It'll always be there. But through years and years of speech therapy, I've learned to tiptoe around it. And what's funny is that Moses may have suffered from something similar. In fact, back in that burning bush episode, Moses reveals his own insecurities about talking to Pharaoh on letting the Israelites go, because he claims he can't speak. Adonai accommodates Moses' fears by letting Aaron join him and help him say what he needs to say. So if Moses is hearing God through Moses' own voice, then Moses is also hearing a flawed speaker. And as a flawed speaker myself, I find that inspiring. However, I don't find it terribly inclusive. Like I mentioned before, Val Kilmer, the voice of Moses and Adonai in the movie The Prince of Egypt, can no longer speak. And so I wonder, what would God sound like to people who are nonverbal? Or what would God sound like to people who feel like they don't have a voice? In our Torah, God is incredibly selective concerning who Adonai talks to. Only a handful of people get to hear the actual voice of Adonai. And in Adonai's own words, the rest experience God through visions and dreams. And I feel that often we burden ourselves with the belief that God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good. If God is all of these things, then the lack of Adonai's voice can be deafening. But perhaps the producers of the Prince of Egypt were onto something. We all have a voice in our own head. I don't think it's the voice of God. Unfortunately, many people do, though. But I do believe the voice in our own head is a God-given tool. Our capacity to think in terms of a voice in our head is a powerful tool for us to achieve what we want from our lives. Whether we want to have a fulfilling life, make the world a better place, or lead ourselves out of bondage. We must find the voice inside our own minds before we can voice what we want out loud. And I can assure you the voice in my mind does not stutter. So back to the burning bush episode. What if Moses is indeed just hearing himself? But he is hearing himself think about the powerful and incredible idea of helping the Israelites out of bondage. And he is using a tool given to us by God to do so, the freedom of his own thoughts. Thank you. Don't have to clap. It's not a performance. Yeah, okay. Moving on. Misha Berach on page 371. This is yours or mine?
That's mine.
Mine go. Oh, it's over here. I thought over there. Okay, so in our own community, we're thinking about these members who are in need of healing. Ginger Spiro, John Johnson, Pat Victor, Janice Breeze, Ross Rumack, Cheryl Lambriani, Ian Clift, Hannah Franklin, Dale Chubin, Frank Erwiskin, Sharon Joy McDonald, Daniel Ellsberg, Autumn Edwards, and Ali Bet Rebecca. If there's someone who you are thinking of who is in need of healing, please feel free to say their names out louder in your hearts.
The source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Yirotenu Mekor Bracha Rabotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We now move to the Elenu on page 586, and when you arrive there, I invite you to stand with us.
We'll be doing the bottom of the page.
Thank you, Ross.
Don't want you to get
Alleluia, Shabbat, Adon, Hakol, Latenu, Laeser, Breshi, Shelos, Anu, Kegoy, Haratzot, Melos, Amanu, Kmizbachot, Adama, Shelos, Am, Kelkenu, Kahem, Megor, Aleinu, Kechol, Amonam, Banatu, Korim, Umishtachim, V'govim v'romim, U'eloheinu Elok, Elokeinu efes ulato, Kakatu b'torato, Yadata yom v'hashevota elevavecha, Ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim imam, v'al haaretz mitachat einod. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai imoch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz. V'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad. U'shemo
We now turn to the Mourner's Kosh on page 598 of your prayer books. In our own community, we're thinking about these yard sites this week. Arthur Bloomfield, Francis Kaminer, Joseph Cohen, Burton Goldberg, Betty Grinker, Anna Hoytish, Harold Kaufman, Betty Lee, Edward Levy, Kim Miller, Alma Saunders, and William Weiser. If there's someone who you are thinking of, please feel free to say their names out loud or in your hearts.
Chaim Sarah bat Mordechai, Michael ben Meir.
Zikunom livracha, may the memory be for a blessing. Yitkadal v'yitkada shemei rava, v'yolama divra chayotei v'yam lik malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei v'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei rava mevarach le'olam ro'mei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yipramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha barichu. Le'elam mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran ve'olam v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom v'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. Okay, announcements. So first and foremost, I want to thank the ONEG committee run by Jen Carolyn, and Tim's also a big part of it too. Thank you. They've been cleaning up our kitchen, getting it ready for Passover, and it's been awesome. And furthermore, they're the ones that help get our challah and grape juice and wine served to ONEG every week. So it's a big deal. I'm so glad they're there. If you want to join the ONEG committee, Jen Carolyn will be more than welcome to help you out. And so anyway, so that's going on in the background. So just I hope we can all appreciate that. Then things like that going on. We have tomorrow morning is morning services at 10:30, and then it's a Torah Uncensored over Zoom at 12:30. And then religious school is back on again at 9:30 on Sunday. And then on Sunday evening at 5, we have our youth group fundraiser. And they're raising money for themselves, but also for the Alaska Wild Bird Rehabilitation Center. And so they'll be feeding you food. So there is you can go online and our website and you can pay for it, or you can come and pay for it at the door, whatever you want to do. So that's happening. And then we have our community Seder on April 6th, starting at 6 p.m. here. And you can also register for that online as well. And then, of course, we have our weekly events going on. Like we have morning minyan on our Zoom room at 8:30 on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we have our minyan in person here. And we go and get breakfast afterwards around 9ish. So, come for the minyan, stay for the breakfast, if you will. What else? Am I missing anything? Social action.
Yes, music and memory.
Oh, right. Yes. So our social action committee is re-kicking the music and memory program. This is where we use music and memory to help like Alzheimer's patients or patients with dementia at the Baxter Living Home. Is that where it's doing?
Yes.
And so essentially the process is that you take music and you help people with dementia and you use it to help them sort of turn back on again. It's a really fascinating process. And so we were working on it in the past. COVID kind of crashed it down a little bit. It looks like it's coming back up again.
Yes.
Awesome.
For people.
And so we could use volunteers to help out. If you want to volunteer, go to me, go to Ross, and we'll get you squared away. So there's that. And then what else? Anything else I'm forgetting? Probably lots of stuff. Well, if I remember, I'll tell you again next week when you're here. All right. Well, so closing melody.
Well, this week we're going to do something different
Ooh,
than we've been doing in the past.
Exciting.
We have been doing in Kelhenu, no, we've been doing it going along. This time, please turn to page 629. We're going to do on Imsney Road.
29.
It's a
Okay.
nice short one, and I know you guys know this. So
Do we know it?
at least I hope you do.
Okay, we're gonna find
If
out in a
not,
moment.
I'll be doing it myself.
Yeah.
Anim Zamiro Fashiri Maroki Elecha Nashitarok Nafshi Hamla Betzel Yadecha Ledat Kol Rasodecha Midei Debari Bichvod Decha. Sorry. Homer Libi Aldodecha Yerav Nas Sichi Alecha Ki Nafshi Tarogelecha.
Wow, I didn't know that one. That's a new one for
There
me.
you go.
Yay. Well, thank you, Ross.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you for
welcome.
introducing that to us.
Well,
All right.
okay, next time we're going to do Yigdal.
Okay. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And we'll see you over in the multi-purpose room for Oneg.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks, Ross.
I liked that.
You liked what?
Which sermon?
Oh, thank you.
I had some thoughts about that while you were talking. I can't remember.